Okay, all thanks for coming to the safety meeting for this week. What we're going to be talking about this week is respiratory protection program. And what our respiratory protection program entails is all this stuff. If we're working with respirators and all of that, you have to go through this program to be able to use respirators. There's our introduction. This is all right out of our health and safety manual. That if we're working around places or areas that are above LELs or H2S, that sort of thing, we have to have respiratory protection. We will follow that totally. And again, right out of our health and safety manual. The respiratory protection, if you're going to haul H2S or work around those environments, we have a program you have to go through. You have to be medically evaluated, fit test, all that kind of thing. And our respirators, we have to select the right type. We have to train you how to wear them properly with those. The medical evaluation, you have to be medically cleared to use a respirator. There are some conditions that will prohibit you from wearing a respirator. And we understand that happens. That medical evaluation, your fit test, is annually. When we do our fit test, the biggest problem with respirators is facial hair. You need a real good seal on it. We send you out to the folks that handle the fit test. It's a quantitative test. It's on the computerized system. Make sure it has a good seal. You got to move about, that sort of thing. You also have to show either Kim or I that you know how to clean your respirator, reassemble it, repair it if need be, or if it's out of service or something broken or torn, you bring it to us so we can take it out of service or get it replaced. That care, some of the biggest fines in OSHA. One, you don't do a positive and negative pressure check, seal check before you put it on. You got to do that. It's just like a military one. You got to make sure it works. Think of those that were in the military. Drill sergeant would be all over you if you didn't do that. And then when you take it off, it needs to be in a sealed bag. You just can't throw it in the cubby of your truck or in your gear bag. It's got to be sealed so it can't have dust and all that. And after you use these, you need to clean them. The cleaning procedures, we got to take the filters out, remove the cartridges if they're there, any of that. Warm soapy water. You don't want to use bleaches and things like that because it'll damage the rubber of these, because that's your seal about keeping H2S or that stuff away from you. Warm soapy water, disinfectant, we're going to let it air dry or we're going to pat it dry. We're not going to use heat on it or anything like that because it can damage those. We're going to put it back together. You're going to do a function test to make sure it works properly after we do it. If it doesn't, let's look at it and see what's wrong with it. Replace things as needed.
What if we don't have warm soapy water? How can we clean it?
We do have some respirator wipes that I have in the office. If you are one that uses a respirator and has one assigned to you, come in and get some of those from me.
Can we just use xylene?
No xylene. No xylene. Respirator use. We will use it when things are over our exposure limits, when it's immediately dangerous to life and health. H2S, of course, is 10 parts per million. We'll work under air. So too, if it's over, something comes to mind. It's not an H2S well, but when you vent it and open the tanks, your oxygen level drops down to about 8% on top of the tank. So that's why they have the cascade system set up there. And once it vents off and everything, it's back to normal. But you want that respirator on when you first start bleeding that thing off because of the gas levels. And we have identified the H2S wells. Some we know when we get them that are H2S, some when the supervisors do their site surveys, or if you guys encounter it while you're out there, you've told us about them. We go out and check them. And then we'll get with producers and marketers to see what they want to do from there with these things. The supplied air respirator or cascade systems, if it's a known H2S, you'll see the cascades out there. Most of these are in the northern area around Gillette, and Franzen Safety has cascades set up for us to use up there. They check those things religiously to make sure they're in proper working order.
Hey Dave, what about that Hornback with their procedure up
That one I need to look into the procedure on the Hornbeck right now with things because there's no cascade system set up there. There's just a 30-minute pack. But with that 30-minute pack out there on the Hornbeck, you got to let us know because if your tank level is below 90%, you got to consider it empty because that additional 10% could be the difference of getting out in time or not. Some of the training you'll do with this, you got to show us you know how to put it on, take it off, don and doff it, how to store it, how to clean it, how to repair it, what your limitations are, and where you can find extra tanks. And then the program evaluation, we'll evaluate those on make sure everything fits proper. We will issue you your own mask, so you're not wearing the same mask for 6 and 7 different folks. And we have to fit test you on the same one we'll issue you. I keep all those records in your training files from your medical clearance, your fit testing records, and that's due every year. We got to do those things. Let's talk a little bit about Samsara. Been getting just tons of calls to fix logs. Remember, we cannot fix a log unless you certify it first. And the good majority of these fixes you can do on your own. If you're unsure how to do them, come in and see us. We'll show you. I'm going to jump to the number 3 line item there. Samsara has updated the app that makes it a lot easier for you to edit. When you go into the edit feature, it will show every line item of your log. Say you forgot your 30-minute break, you can see the times on them, and it makes it really easy to put in there. It's one entry, it's done. If you're over-houred, we can't adjust driving time or on-duty time or any of that because we can't falsify those records. So if you're running out of hours or have run out, don't log out of the device and try to drive it. If you were to get stopped and they check your log, that's an immediate out-of-service offense right there. You're driving with no logbook. Yeah, they will still get you for driving over hours, but it's less of a penalty. If you're over-houred, reach out to your supervisor. We can make other arrangements to get the truck back. You got to log into a truck, period. We have a lot of trucks running out there that have no drivers. They got to be logged in. It's very easy to tell who's driving them because we look at the load board. But you cannot just jump in and go without logging into a truck. Crude volumes come down a little bit. You guys have caught up this field tremendously. There are some things looking at other oil out there too, possibly increasing. Water, Chesapeake is getting ready to turn over a couple new wells on flowback to them, so they're going to increase on the water side over there greatly. Texas is still doing really well, just kind of maintaining, and they are looking at other work down there also. Some of the things we want to talk about, API chili cook-off. We're looking for volunteers from you guys that work all the time, that make Prairie what it is, that if you want to help us out on Saturday the 16th, looking for volunteers. There's a big theme for this. They make it a big blown out deal. It's a Western theme. So we need gunslingers and things like that. But it would be from 10 o'clock in the morning till it ends at 2 p.m. and help us tear down, clean up, that sort of thing. Be out there, and it's a good time if you've never been. It's crowded up there. But see Sarah, or she has a sign-up list here if you're interested in helping out with that. We've got a lot of new employees here lately. LaDonna is now taking over all the crude payroll for you, so if you got payroll questions, make sure you talk to LaDonna. Training, we have Sierra working with us. She'll be helping out on training, trying to keep files up to date. You might get messages from her to time when she talks with Sarah about things that are delinquent or do come and due in your DQ files. We also have a new dispatcher, Tammy. She'll be working down there, or 2 new ones. One just started today, and Tammy's been working there a day or 2 now. We have Lori in the shop that's going to be helping out with underwriting, is it?
Service writer.
Or a service writer that she's working on. If you see these folks, introduce yourself, say hi to them. Parking in the yard. We still can't park over here in the section by Salt Creek. We've never got our fence finished, but there is no road base there. So we can't be parking over here, and we can't use the road between the building and the gate That's why the shop guys usually block it off, because the building owner was having a fit about that being used. We have no easement for that. So we got to park along the fence line down here. Gilby's working on some parking schematics here, because we also need parking for our guests, and that they're not having to park 50 miles away when they come to see us, like Tanner from Shell. He should be able to come in and have a visitor spot really quick. Donations. We didn't do very well for donations for the rescue mission, but we want to throw a challenge out there to day shift, night shift guys, our teams. Who collects the most canned food? Bring us some canned food or non-perishable food. Sarah will have some boxes out on that. Try to get bragging rights. Who can raise the most, days or nights? And last thing I want to talk about is trash in our own yard. If you have it, put it in the dumpsters. Bring it to the trash can. Look at our fence line. We got cigarette boxes, mechanic gloves. It just looks bad. Let's put the trash in proper receptacles. We've talked about it on locations constantly, and the complaints from producers have gone way, way, way down. We appreciate that. But now let's work on our own yard a little bit too, and everybody needs to do their part on that. Gilby, you got anything?
I don't have anything. Jason, do you have anything from?
Just do your tank work, guys, and do it the way you should. We've had a couple of guys here lately who's ended up pulling some water. It says that, oh yeah.
Jason, come over here a little bit so they can hear you out there.
Anyways, they pulled some water. It's costly. Double check your BS and W, and if you're in doubt, call one of your supervisors. Let's just make sure we can get it under control. We're glad to help, but just do your tank work. And like we had one at the Downs, guy rejected it for 8%. Went out, checked it, and it was more than likely the xylene that he had. So it was probably contaminated. So because it was checked by 2 other people, and it was fine. So when in doubt, double check it. That's all I got for the most part.
Kim, anything? LaDonna?
I guess I do have one thing. We've been monitoring weekly what you guys are loading on your trucks, volume-wise, and the company trucks, we got to make sure we're keeping them, unless you're in the double bottom, keep them down under 240. We're talking anybody over 240. We got 135 employees, drivers here, and we've got it down to where just 9 are still kind of being up there. So you guys have made a big difference. But we just had a truck, South Wyoming, get nailed for 7,000 pounds over today. We had 2 other trucks get pulled over up by Wright. So even though it's cold out, the DOT is still working. So please make sure you're legal. Check your cab card books. Make sure everything you need is inside them. We need to have instructions for the Sam Sarah. I went through 3 of them today that still had PeopleNet instructions. We're not even running PeopleNet anymore. So if your cab card book doesn't have up-to-date documents in it or a lot of expired stuff, please bring it in and let us get it updated.
Alan, anything at all?
No, unless anybody has questions, just.
Are there any questions from you guys out there online right now? Tanner, do you have anything for us?
Just say hey real quick.
Oh, come on.
Hey everyone, Tanner from Shell, just coming by to say hey and remind us that it's winter. We all know it's cold, it's slippery, it's snowy, hard to see. Don't forget to use stop work if you need to. We'll work it out later, but if you have any other questions for me, let Dustin or anyone else know and they can pass them on. And then if you're seeing anything at the leases or any of the offload sites that need fixing, take pictures, let us know. We'll talk to producers and see if we can get something figured out. Thanks.
Mr. Cunliffe, we see your question out there on 50 plus gravity and still 240. I'll have Gilby address that here for you real fast.
Did you say anything about phone calls for Sam Sarah?
No.
Did you want to?
It's actually pretty relative.
What about that one there, Gilby?
We do look at the gravities when we do look at the volumes, and we do look like what overall weight would be. But one thing is most of our trucks, even though they're registered to 105.5, still can't legally haul that. So I mean, we do use some common sense when we look at those volumes. But for the most part, yeah, if you did have 50 gravity oil, you probably are going to be good. We do look at that.
Any questions from anybody else? If you miss a picture of your tickets on the Crude, can we still enter them or submit them on Samsara?
I'd have to look into that. I mean, we do have the Samsara documents. I'll talk to LaDonna about that for if we don't get them into the Crude dispatch, if we can use the documents in Samsara. That's actually a pretty good idea.
Well, if they turn them in, we can upload them.
And if you actually turn your tickets in with your paperwork, we can still upload them.
Any other questions out there at all? Yeah, Josh, the gasoline you've been hauling, of course, is the gravity. Just do your work right to make sure you're going to bridge that and be okay. The ones we've seen on the tall grass stuff, it's high enough gravity. You can darn near dome that out and still make your bridge. But if nothing else, we appreciate you coming in today. And if you guys have any more questions online, I'll leave this up here a minute. Other than that, we appreciate you attending.